So my name is Jerica Holton. I'm a product marketing manager here at Greenshades. I focus a lot in the payroll product, but also in our HR and tax products as well. I have a background in retail management, some workforce trades, so some experience rolling out payroll, HR, and tax software, and some time in technology sales. And I have been a proud Greenie since 2022.
Yeah, my name's Scott Loudermilk. I have over 15 years in the payroll HCM market. I've experience working with Microsoft ERP partners and accounting CPA firms. Also had a focus in my life on casino, tribal governments, and also in the staffing industry.
So before we get started off with the 5 ways that you can accelerate your operations, we want to start by looking at what are some of the payroll and HR challenges that's facing casinos today. So this can be complex payroll due to the 24-hour operations. You have a lot of complex shifts, a mix of part-time and full-time workers, a large hourly base with various wages. Some may be working overtime and other compliance regulations that you also have to take into account during the payroll process. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen casinos face the issue with trying to find, attract and retain top talent. So attracting and retaining employees, managing burnout and turnover for employees working in a fast-paced industry. We see a lot of industries facing an issue with turnover, finding creative ways to retain employees and making sure that they don't get burned out or their mental health isn't affected. We also see this in the casino industry. Job flexibility and competitive benefits packages, something that's well sought out for a lot of employees. We see this in the casino industry as well, being that it is a 24-hour operation running on holidays and weekends. People are looking for that job flexibility and those benefits. O-coding compliance. So this is also HR compliance, payroll compliance, within casino-specific compliance. So that can be the proper trainings, managing game licenses, certifications, and more. And then managing multiple, sometimes outdated systems. So you may be using multiple systems to manage all your payroll and HR operations. And some of them may be a little older that are connecting to other systems.
Yeah, Jerica, what I wanted to add to this, I think what you can use payroll to make your life easier is finding a system, one that either does everything you need it to do or has the flexibility to work with other systems you have. So example, time and attendance. You have a payroll HCM solution that you may not be able to use their time because the casinos have unique time setups, but a system that can easily either file imports or integrations work with your time and attendance. Payroll shouldn't have to be a chore. The goal here is to pick a solution that makes your life easier and your employees' life easier.
Thanks, Todd. I think you bring up a good point, just having the technology that can communicate well together. So even if it's not all in one system, having systems that are up to date and still can communicate using the cloud. So the first thing we're going to talk about is automating your payroll process. So taking that payroll process from what can be 1 to 2 days to just a couple hours or minutes, depending on your complexity for your payroll. So payroll automation can save your team a lot of time and valuable resources. So you can automate payroll calculations for complex needs such as overtime, garnishments, benefits withholding. In the casino industry, you may have employees receiving tips. So being able to put those tips in and have them automatically be accounted for during the payroll process is really helpful. And more, like I said, you have a large hourly and part-time workforce with a lot of different wage types. So many ways that you can automate some of those complex calculations will save your team a lot of team and effort. It eliminates the risk of human error. Again, a lot of meticulous calculations. You have a lot of things to take in consideration. This doesn't even touch on all of our government withholdings, all of our little deductions we see come out of our paychecks, location-specific tax calculations. So you may have casino workers that may be training at a different location, maybe supporting a different location. I know when I was working in retail, if I needed help from a different store, they might send over an employee to help. And this can cause different withholdings for the employee's paycheck. And this isn't just on a state level, it can even be a local level. So although you may have an employee only traveling maybe 30 minutes to an hour, if it's a different local withholding, you'll need to take that into consideration. And then you'll have your data prepared for you for year-end filing. So you can automatically have that information pull in from payroll all year. So you get to year-end, it's a quick filing process.
Yeah, I think what I want to add is I think when you're looking for a software, I think payroll should be a review process at this point. If you've got a software that can handle, it has to be flexible enough to do obviously all the taxes, locals, things like that. Also have the flexibility, say if you're a tribal casino that pays state taxes for part of the employees and not for the other ones. I think you have to have a software that has that flexibility that can be tailored to your needs. And again, even with the year end, it should be a review process. You should have the ability to make changes, but it should be, let me review everything. All right, everything looks nice. Great. Let's move forward. And also another add-on to that is if something is wrong, your software should be flexible enough to let you change it right there, not start the whole process over, redo everything. It should be an easy fix for you. So payroll doesn't have to be like it was, like, multiple days and year ends, a nightmare. Systems today can really help you automate things and make life easier, and also communicate with your accounting software so you're not re-putting things in. So I think that's the goal when you're searching for a software.
Yeah, thank you for that, Scott. So then we're going to move on to automation for payroll compliance. So we kind of touched on this a little bit in the last slide, but just getting a little bit more into detail. So when we're thinking about FSLA requirements, there's a few things that comes to mind. Proper overtime calculations. So a lot of people look at overtime as just time and a half. So when you're manually doing those calculations and not using a payroll provider, that's the easy calculation to go to. But if you have employees that are receiving a different wage type, so maybe they're working in a different department inside your casino, maybe they are getting a pay raise for working on a holiday or working an overnight shift, you want to make sure that you're doing the proper overtime calculations, that you're properly compensating them for those wage changes. And then assuring employees meet minimum wage requirements. So with tipped employees, typically they're getting paid under the minimum wage amount. And when you put in those tip calculations, if during the pay period, the employee's wage isn't what it should be when they receive those tips or they were making minimum wage, you want a software that can automatically identify this and keep you compliant by automatically adjusting that wage for you. And then keeping track of payroll records. Per the EEOC, you're supposed to keep your payroll records for up to a year. And according to FSLA guidelines for 4 years. So having a payroll software, you automatically keep track of these records in the cloud. So anytime there's an audit, you're prepared with your information. And then capturing all hours worked. So what does this mean? Again, going back to the training example, if you do have employees training, you want to make sure you're compensating them for their travel time, their time training, work events, anything outside of their normal daily functions that it still involves them putting in time to work. And then calculating the proper payroll deductions, so automatically taking out those income tax withholdings, the FICA contributions, any government mandated or court mandated garnishments that comes out of employees' paycheck, automatically setting up the schedule so it deducts every time payroll goes.
Yeah, I think, and this is just kind of a continuation of what I said in the last slide, your system should be able to do all this. You shouldn't have to do this manually, especially in a casino setting, like Jared said, if they're working different departments, different wage scales, all that stuff, pick something that will do that for you. Again, it should be a review process. You should not have to do a lot of manual work on your payroll at this point if you pick the right solution.
And then we talked a lot about payroll on the admin side. So let's flip it and talk about it a little bit on the employee side. So as of 2023, more than half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? So this is why we focus so hard on the automation, making sure everything is accurate, making sure you're accounting for everything. You want paychecks to be accurate and on time, but there's other ways that you can utilize your payroll solution to benefit your employees. So this may be earned wage access or on-demand pay. When employees are in between paychecks, if things get a little tough, they can look to their job as, I need a higher wage, I need a higher salary. But maybe it's more flexible options. It just gives them access to their pay. So maybe it's earned wage access or on-demand pay. Flexible payment options. So some employees love direct deposit. We still have employees who prefer to get their check by mail. They want that paper check still. Or we have people who want to use digital banking options. Companies such as Branch allows employees flexible ways to get paid. Support for medical expenses when those unexpected medical expenses comes up. having employees have a way to take care of those expenses can help relieve some of that financial burden from them and later just deduct it from their payroll as time goes on, setting up a payment plan that works for them. And then having easy access to those pay stubs. If it's the weekend and I'm applying for an apartment and I need to show income, being able to easily just go into my self-service portal and print it is very convenient for the employees and also saves time for admins as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Not a lot to add on this, except that I think your system should be able to work with these things, and the electronic access to this day and age, you should be able to pull up your pay stub. Ideally, gone are the days where you have to take a phone call as a payroll person and get a copy of the pay stub so somebody can get a car or a house or whatever it may be. They should be able to flip to their phone and go on to whatever app they're using and pull up those documents and send them from there. We shouldn't have to deal with paper if you don't want to at this day and age.
I totally agree, Scott. And I think it's just a great way to stay competitive with the competition out there. Offering some of these flexible methods is a unique way to offer payroll benefits to your employees. So next, we'll move on to our second item, attracting and retaining talent with HR software. So you can essentially go paperless for HR teams. So instead of digging through paperwork and filing cabinets, you can keep all your employee data safe inside the cloud. And then on top of that, you see on top of those EEOC regulations, again, you must keep those employee records, even if they're terminated up to a year after termination. So having them in the cloud keeps you prepared for audits or any employee inquiries if they reach out. You have that information still on record, so it's helping keep your team compliant as well. And then we want to be able to easily track and manage important HR documents. So these could be the documents you collect during onboarding, maybe some before information, I-9 information, information certifications that keeps them eligible to work. You can keep all this in the cloud so you have it prepared for your employees if you need to update or change anything.
The only thing I was going to say to this is it's kind of like the payroll that it is have easy access. Also, I think we hear the cloud, and in this day and age, it's, people are all worried about security. Yeah, I think if you're SOC 2 level certified, and if there's any IT people in here that will debate me, you would be right. But from what I know, SOC 2, using something like Microsoft Azure for, to run your system on gives you that security that everything should be pretty secure. And again, you should be able to operate as an HR or payroll person almost no matter where you are, especially in this day. It's something after COVID, we have to have access to everything, but you shouldn't have to be tied to an office to perform your job. So I think having these online access and track these certifications of your employees is vital in a system.
That's a great call out, Scott, just thinking about the security measure, being able to give those managers certain access, controlling who has access to your employee information is really critical. On both the employee side, keeping their information confidential. And so I think that was a great call out. And the only other thing I wanted to add to this was effectively managing your gaming licenses, alcohol certification licenses, and more. As you know, for casino workers, if you're doing food, you might need food handler certifications or certain things to keep your employees compliant to work. So again, once these audits come around, you're prepared. I know working in retail, our managers had to have the food safety certification, and we didn't have something on file when we got an audit. It was not a fun day for us as managers. So just being able to have those certifications ready is a great thing.
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, just having a system that keeps all that stuff for you is ideal.
Remove the headache and the burden, the paperwork, our favorite thing. And then attracting top talent with ATS. So nowadays, things have changed. Before you wanted to apply for a job, you filled out a paper application, took it up to the place, dropped it off, wait for a phone call, everything. But now everything is at our fingertips. So what you'll see is a lot of people apply for jobs, even jobs they may not be qualified for, because it's easy, it's convenient, it's right at their fingertips. With some jobs, you can even apply from your phone. So what a lot of employers are seeing is an overflow of candidates and an overflow of resumes that they weren't seeing before. And some people not qualified, some people qualified, but either way, it's a lot to shift through. It's a lot to flip through and try to manage all these applications. So ATS software can help you post jobs and manage applicants easy. And then through the application process, track interviews and everything along those lines. You can distribute offer letters, collect signatures, and then pull in that new hire information so you're prepared for your onboarding process. And especially in today's age, like I said, with COVID-19, I know we're a few years out from it, but I think every industry is still feeling a little bit of the staffing shortage. So it's great to have a software that can help you pull on new hires.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at ATS, and that goes back to my comment about having a payroll HCM system that can work well with other systems. Some of the, at least in my experience, some of the ATSs and payroll HCM systems, they're fine. But if you get into a level like a casino where you have multiple different type of jobs, multiple different levels of experience, you may want to have a more robust system. So when you're looking for on the payroll side, I think you want something again that can work with an easy integration, has open APIs, that kind of stuff to really work with them, so you can put together the best solution for you.
Agreed. And so once you get past that ATS step, we're going to move on to onboarding. So onboarding is one of those needles in a haystack, one of those random things that you would think that can lead to employee retention, but it's a key factor in employee retention. In fact, it can increase it by 82% and productivity by 70%. So when new hires are coming in, you want to give them a welcoming experience. They know they're going to fill out personal information. They know they're going to have to do some of that admin stuff, the not so fun stuff. But when new hires come in, they also think it is sense for your company culture. So having the software that allows you to add in your company colors, logos, or other little personal touches, help the employee resonate and feel a sense of your company culture when they're coming in for that first day. And then maybe you want to also add in things like welcoming videos, things that outlines your company's core values, anything that can give an employee transparency into what their life will look like at your job or at your company. And then offering a mobile experience. Again, I know I keep bringing up retail days. I think retail and casino kind of go hand in hand in the sense that we're dealing with customer-facing operations, days, schedules, and a lot of complexities. But just thinking about when I was hiring new hires, if they didn't have that information, maybe they forgot their W-4I-9, they're running all the way home. If I'm lucky, they're coming all the way back. And now by experience of getting them in, now it's pushed back 2 or 3 days. Production is pushed back. So just having that flexibility that they can complete it from anywhere, anytime is really helpful to get them started early. And then employees want transparency when they're coming into a new role. How many times have we heard an employee say, that's not my job, this is not in the job description, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So employees are coming in, and in addition to collecting W-4 and I-9s, you can also add in that supporting material. So whether it's job descriptions, employee handbooks, anything that can outline what's expected when an employee walks in and help reduce that turnover. You're giving them full transparency on the first day coming in with no surprises.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is vital in this day and age. You want the first experience somebody has, with your company to be positive. If you're sending them PDFs and stuff, and especially if they're younger, they're going to be like, "Oh, well, what's going on here?" The other thing while you're looking for your software that I think you need to make sure of, because surprisingly, not all softwares or onboarding softwares can do this at this point, is fillable form. So you can add your and what I mean by that, you can add your own document. They can sign it. They can, what I mean for casinos, clothing size, things like that they can fill out certain documents that they need to fill out to just make your life and their life easier. It's all electronic and it's all tracked and all saved in your system. So I think those are just a little bit of advice when you're looking. I've been surprised in the last few years that some systems don't do what of the fillable forms and be able to sign certain documents, which you would think everybody can do at this point in time. So just be aware when you're searching for a solution.
I think that's a great point to call out the fillable forms. Again, distributing supporting materials. It gives new hires full transparency and it can get them started. So to Scott's point, if it's filling out information about the new role, if you need to collect signatures or certain requirements, you're able to do that. And then next, stay engaged with employee self-service. So again, we talked about kind of the admin side of the HR and how can we help our employees and help you stay ahead of the competition. So the employee self-service portal gives your employees me tripping over my words, gives employees access right at their fingertips So whether that's on their mobile device or maybe they're on the computer, they can easily handle their HR functions that you decide to give them. You can delegate your HR tasks and reduce some of those inquiries that you're getting, some of those emails and phone calls. And casino employees can get right to the floor and get to work. We all know that sometimes reaching out to HR isn't the quickest process. So being able to do it and just come into work and work is a great thing. So you can also boost employee engagement. In a casino, your employees are on the floor. You always don't get that one-on-one time with them. And sometimes because you're in a 24/7 operation, you have openers, midday closers, overnight employees. Sending out one huge announcement can be difficult. Through the employee self-service portal, you're able to post those mass messages, personalized messages, making sure that all your employees are up to date on every little thing possible. And then one location to manage trainings. In any industry, in any company, you're going to have those trainings that you have to take when you come in. Like, for example, sexual harassment training that's mandatory in California. But then in the casino industry, you also have really rule-specific training. So this can be anti-money laundering, responsible gambling, various trainings that you have to ensure that your employees do. So with the CEO login, you want them to be able to go in and complete these trainings no matter their location.
These systems aren't just for new employees anymore. That's the nice thing here is you can communicate with your people, especially like, again, in a casino setting where you've got people all over the place on the move. And as we all know, we're all glued to our phones. They can get updates to meetings. They can get updates to training. You can communicate to your whole team. Hey, we're having a company-wide meeting tomorrow at 8, whatever you want to put out there, that gives the HR person the ability to touch all their employees when they need to. So, and it's all on their device or computer, however you want to set it up. But I think that's the paramount to this. This is really the HR part of this that is continuing. It's not just for the new employees anymore. It's for the whole life cycle of your employee.
Yes, continued access from beginning to end. And then next, we're going to talk on getting the most out of your benefits. So offering a competitive compensation package to your employees. So staying competitive with benefits administration can help set yourself apart from your competition. So 66% of employees are waiting to review their company's new benefits offerings before deciding whether to go or stay. So when your employees are coming in and they're completing that open enrollment, you want to make sure that they have access to every detail of their plans so they can ensure they're getting the most out of their benefits. You as an employer, you do your part to make sure that you are offering these competitive benefits, and you want your employees to know this. So when they're going through their options, they want to be able to compare plans, see what options they have out there so they can make the best decisions for themselves and their wallet. And then you want to set reminders for open enrollment. So you don't want employees to miss that open enrollment schedule. That's like my greatest fear is missing the open enrollment schedule. Always make sure I pay attention to the date. And you want to be able to communicate that with your employees to make sure that they are able to enroll. And if they're not, that you have the software that can catch this and still place them into open enrollment schedules. So they miss open enrollment, they're still placed into a benefits package, so they still have coverage. Even though it might not be the exact coverage they wanted, they're still covered throughout the year, right? And then being able to allow them to report key life events on their own. This kind of goes back to employee self-service point. They're able to do this on their own, just wait for approval without all the hassle and heavy lifting. Another benefit, reward and recognition for performance. Being able to track employees' performance and just communicate that to them is a great benefit. Everybody loves to hear you're doing a great job. Here's a little something, especially in the casino industry. We have employees running around all day. They're helping customers, making sure that they're being attentive, upholding your company policies. It can be hard to say thank you. They may be coming in for a closing shift, you're opening, you're missing them day in and day out. So having something that you could be able to track that and be able to reward them at the end is a great way to show your employee thanks and offer a competitive benefit that's outside of just the normal medical, dental, 401k type of benefits. And then tracking ACA compliance year-round. If you have over 50 employees, you must offer ACA benefits. So that makes sure your employees are covered, but also to help your organization maintain compliance. So you want to make sure that your software is tracking this year-round and identifying employees that may be eligible for ACA benefits.
Yeah, I think one ACA. Yeah, this goes back to it should be a review process, not a job for you or a task. Your system should be able to track that and let you know, okay, so and so is eligible, or you've hit this number of employees. You now have to go, do the ACA forms. The other thing on the benefits, I think open enrollment is, again, back to like with the onboarding. I think it's something in this day and age you have to have. The other thing I like, and this is just my thoughts, is showing what the company pays in the open enrollment. So it's
Yeah.
it's a benefit. I mean, it is an additional money they are paying. So some employees don't realize that. So they just, oh, I'm paying for my health insurance. I think a big part of that, being able to look at it on your phone, check out your benefits, and when you're open enrollment, showing what the company pays and what you pay. So it is not just something they expect. They realize that, hey, this isn't in addition to what I'm getting paid. This company is paying me, basically. So I think it's really good to show that on these portals.
Scott, I love that point, because when I look at my benefits, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's coming out of my paycheck every week. And then I look to the side and I'm like, oh, but I could be paying that. And it makes me feel a lot better about paying for my medical, additional, and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point to call out. And then something that's been a topic, not only in the casino, not only in the workplace, but really everywhere, is mental health. In fact, 80% of employees think their employer can help with their mental health. As a matter of fact, a lot of them quote work as the reason why they may have mental health challenges. And so having an employer that shows that they support their employees beyond just payroll, compensation, but they also support their well-being is really important. And it speaks a lot to your employees. So as we talk about benefits, you can offer optional benefits, voluntary benefits. So maybe this is something like wellness programs. So maybe you help out with gym memberships, offer yoga classes, or other things. Maybe it's mental health support, so virtual or in-person visits. I know I utilize that at one of my jobs, be able to have those monthly check-ins with somebody that is offered for free. And it was honestly a nice relief from just the everyday work, just to have that support for my mental health. And then open communication about mental health. So this can be impactful conversations with employees and making sure you're tracking those throughout your system. So this is conversation that goes just beyond employee performance, goals and growth, and just job focusing. So really connect with your employees and make sure that they're doing okay. And then training and education sessions. So again, going back to employee self-service, delegating some of those training sessions about mental health is a big thing for employers. And I think it'd be really helpful for employees, whether it's tips and tricks on how to maintain your mental health, or just communicating things that your organization is offering through these education sessions is a great benefit for your employees.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't much of a software thing. I think it's important to offer these things now, especially all size. I was going to say larger, but all size organizations, just because, again, you're creating this environment that the employees believe you care about, and I think that's important versus, I think, how it used to be in the past, where a lot of them think you don't care. So adding these things and the employees, the employee portal, the self-service allows them to access these things. That's about the only thing the system can do. But I think it's important to have this kind of stuff. And this is another where payroll and HR helps you retain your employees and build a better work environment and get more out of your employees.
So next, we're going to talk about managing year-end forms and tax returns. So 75% of payroll professionals said they were satisfied or very satisfied using the year-end forms and tax processes with automation. This is actually a statistics Greenshades collected when surveying some of our customers. And so having that software to help you your year-end can help relieve a lot of those headaches and stress when year-end comes around. We already have Christmas to stress about and the holidays. We don't need to add anything else on with year-end forms. So being able to support year-end forms for your employees with W-2s and 1099s, you want to have the software that can help you do this. So in one easy workflow, you can collect and validate information, create forms, easily review. So you're identified to those areas that may cause rejection, so you can correct them and reduce your chance of rejection. Handle bulk updates. And this is a really important one. If you have the software that can verify social security numbers with the IRS, that can help you a lot throughout the process, making sure that that information is accurate and on point. Typing in all those numbers and repeating all those numbers can get tedious. So being able to validate them with IRS is big. And then distributing forms with the help of your provider. So whether that's digitally or by print and mail, during onboarding, if you have a software that can collect how employees want these forms, that is very beneficial. So when you come to year-end time, the system automatically knows this, and it can just distribute based off of the employee preferences without you having to collect, how would you like your form? How would you like your form? The system already knows. And then handling tax and information returns. So this can be 941s, W-2s, unemployment returns, 1095Cs for ACA, new hires reporting, and more. And it's specific to casinos. If you have to file W-2Gs or 8027 forms, which are those tip forms, you want to be able to do that through your software. So you want to ask your provider what ways do they support this for you. And then lastly, just tracking those deadlines so you can stay compliant. Compliance is the base of everything you're going to do in payroll and HR. So you want to make sure these files are on time.
Yeah. And I think this goes back to my comment about this should be a review process. You should not have to manually do this stuff. You should be able to review it in your system, and know that it's correct. Whether it's one of the softwares that, take responsibility, do everything for you, or ones that set it up where, excuse the sales comment, but it's a push of a button. It's nice and easy. But I think that's really the goal of these things, to have the right system in place, is to make your life as the payroll and the HR person easier. You've got enough on your plate. You should be able to review this, say, okay, everything looks good. Let's send out the W-2s. W-2s should have access to the employees on their portal. No more a million calls. Can I get my W-2s? When are they due? I lost mine, a copy. It's on your portal. It's sitting there for you. Just go on, and if you printed it, lose it, go print it again. Or if your CPA, I don't know, deleted the email, resend it. It's that simple. It's not the days of having to redo another one, call your payroll. Those days should be over. You shouldn't have to do that. It should be all at your fingertips, at whatever software you pick.
Yep, just a click of a button. Then we want to talk about returns for employees. So roughly 1/3 of Americans depend on their tax refunds for financial relief. I know I have friends who wait for their tax form every year. We'll sit around and we're like, have you got your tax return? Have you got yours yet? No, I'm still waiting for my employer. Oh, my employer sent theirs this long ago. Employees look forward to this time of the year. We all experience financial stress. We all see the price of eggs right now, right? It's a tough time for a lot of people. So making sure that we have those W-2s and 1099s on time is critical for employees who are looking for that financial relief for tax return season. I mean, offering the option to have them digitally by print and mail is important. Like I said, collecting that information during onboarding, if your provider allows you to, is critical. So when it comes around to that time of the year, you can just send them when it comes time to it. And then, as Scott said, giving ongoing access to the self-service portal. If I lose my form, maybe I don't check my mailbox, I didn't even notice it came, or maybe I missed the email, it's always inside that portal for me. So if I need it for next year, or if I maybe made a mistake and I need to go back and look, I always have access to it. And then helping employees with their tax process beyond just distributing it. So being able to upload those forms in TurboTax or whatever tax filing website your employees may use, and also relieve a lot of that stress of filing your forms with employees.
Yeah, I think a lot of systems are getting to the point where, like, they have integrations with TurboTax. So it makes life, you're uploading that W-2, and it's, again, excuse me, making it sound easier than it probably is, but it just uploads into TurboTax and away you go. And those comments are from CPA friends of mine through my payroll life, looking at me like I'm insane when I say, "Oh, it's a push of a button, it's easy." But no, I think the portal is important. Again, it shouldn't be a stressful time. I remember, I'm dating myself probably a little bit, but the days when, HR and payroll people were just dreading year end because, one, they have to do it all. Two, then they're waiting. Their employees are bugging them, every 5 minutes for their forms. It's like, now you can set these systems up so that it texts you and go, okay, your W-2 is ready or your pay stub's ready. So those are the kind of things that payroll and an HR software can really help streamline the life of your payroll and your HR person and your employees. It again shouldn't be hard. It should be. We can make it easier these days.
We just, as you said, a click of a button. I think about how I manually enter my TurboTax information. One little typo. So I can't imagine what it's like for HR payroll personnel to be entering all that stuff manually. Oh man, this is why I am not the payroll or HR person. I'm just so our last point is tracking labor with precision, making sure every second of labor is accounted for. I know we probably said this about 50 million times during this webinar, but the casino industry, the casino operations are 24/7. Keeping track of that time and attendance is critical. A few common payroll errors that we see across every industry is one, buddy punches, costing companies more than $370 million. So what is a buddy punch? You have one of your coworkers who might punch in for you. So if you're running late, nobody will see that you're running late, or maybe they'll take down their time for you. You know, they know you're not coming, just so somebody goes back and look, they won't be able to see that. So with timekeeping technology, the good thing is you can allow employees to clock in through the mobile device, physical time clock. And the way these time clocks have advanced now, geofencing only gives employees access to clock in at approved locations. You don't have to worry about those buddy punches happening outside of a location that they're not supposed to be punching in from. Biometric, face print, recognition. There's a lot of efforts that get put in this timekeeping technology to help reduce this number. Missed punches, 69% of employees admit they did not track their time accurately. So being able to do it on your phone, right at your fingertips, right at your convenience, is a lot easier to go ahead and clock in there. Also, again, with the time clocks and through the payroll process, if there's any huge discrepancies, you should be alerted to it. So during the payroll process, if you notice, hey, their timesheet, they normally get paid 40 hours. This week, they only had 20. Let me just investigate what's going on. You can help catch some of these mistakes. And then around 700 hours go unbilled. So this kind of goes back to the FLSA requirements, making sure you're capturing all hours worked, whether it's training, travel time, information sessions, every hour that they're working, every second they're working, making sure there's accurate accounted for. And then our last stat, which I think is the most important, companies save over $600,000 in yearly wages by automating time tracking.
Yeah, I think anybody that's been in the industry knows that tracking time in the past could be difficult. I think when you're setting yourself up with a new system, one, either can they do what you need them to do in their internal time system, or, casinos, again, have a unique, a very different, setup than a lot of normal businesses. So, they have different shifts, 24/7. It's and different. You go from, people on the floor to the restaurants to support. So there is a lot that it goes into that. So if you have a system that's working, make sure your system that you pick can work with it, either again through open APIs or through a file import. Those things should be able to be set up and work pretty easily. So you're uploading your time, you're reviewing it, or your managers are reviewing it, and then you're done and payroll's done. Again, the goal is to make your life easier.
And then lastly, just a little few more notes on flexible time management. Up to 93% of employees say their checks are delivered on schedule and on time. So with time tracking technology, you can enable a simple review process for your managers, allow employees to clock in, and as an admin, you can quickly review and approve timesheets before payroll processing. Assign shifts to departments, so making sure your casino workers' hours are billed to the correct department is critical. Capture those overtime hours, the ability to clock in from approved locations. I think the important vote here is approved. And then again, staying compliant with FSLA requirements. So you're keeping track of that time and attendance data. Again, per EEOC, you have to keep those records on file. So having that information.
Yeah, and that's kind of a continuation of the last slide. The only thing I would say is, grant the ability to clock in from approved locations. We can do it all from the phone if you want, and geofencing where they can only clock in certain locations. And if they have multiple locations, you can track the difference. And so it allows you to, not have your employees clock in when they're sitting on the couch. You can control where they clock in. If you don't want to, you don't have to have clocks anymore. They can do it either through their phone or through a tablet or through a computer, however you want to set it up.
And then just a little bit about Greenshades. We have over 20 years supporting organizations with payroll, HR, and tax products as an in-house cloud-based solution. And our suite consists of payroll, human resources, benefits, tax and compliance, and time management. Our solutions work great solo if you do have other systems in place. However, they work great together in an automated solution for the team. And then lastly, just a few takeaways. So overall, the 5 ways that you can help accelerate your receipt operations by automating your payroll process, attracting and retaining talent HR software, getting the most out of your benefits, managing year forms and tax returns, and tracking labor with precision.
Thanks again for your time. Thanks so much, Scott and Jerica. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks for attending.
Thanks, Mandy.